Hi, welcome back. This is week 11, video number 2. Hopefully my kitten is tired by now. I hope she won't be on the keyboard anymore. But I wanted to go through strategies with you so that we could talk about what you actually write in a letter or a memo. So we've covered the formatting, which is pretty easy. The more difficult part is the strategy for actually writing. And the strategy for writing the content of a memo or a letter depends on the situation. So your first step in business writing is just to reflect on the situation that you're in. You're going to find that you're going to be doing one of three things. You're either going to be giving somebody good news, so news that they want to hear, news that will please them. You may also be giving neutral news, so news that's not going to affect them emotionally one way or the other. Or you may be delivering bad news, something that potentially could upset or harm someone. The good part about all of this is that we have strategies for each of these things. And it's very easy to follow the strategy to make sure that you're delivering the information that you need to deliver in the right way. We're going to start with looking at what they call direct strategy, which is what we use when we're giving good news or neutral news. Okay, so something that's either going to make somebody happy or make somebody not have any kind of reaction at all. There's a 3-paragraph strategy for direct strategy. In the first paragraph, we state the good news or the neutral news right away. Okay, so we give the information, that the main message that we want to deliver to somebody. In the next paragraph, we provide any additional information that's required. And then in the third paragraph, we end with what they call a goodwill close, which is simply a nice, polite way, okay, of concluding the memo or the letter. So letting somebody know that they can contact you if they need additional information. Again, expressing congratulations if that's appropriate to the situation. Again, it's going to vary from situation to situation how you handle these things. But that's your basic strategy. Okay, so some examples, right, of a good newsletter. You actually received a good newsletter when you were admitted into your program from Niagara College, and it followed this exact strategy. So if you think back to that letter that you received, the first paragraph started off with the word, I can guarantee, congratulations, right? You have been admitted to the practical nursing program or the pharmacy tech program or the registered massage therapy program. The next paragraph is where they gave you some details. So they might have said what day you need to register, what website you have to go to register at, what deposit you have to make on your tuition and by when. Okay, so they were giving you important additional information in that next paragraph. And then in the third paragraph, they again probably repeated congratulations and said something like, we're looking forward to welcoming you on campus or something like that. Again, a polite expression, okay, and a re-congratulations. You have the perfect example, okay, of a direct strategy letter in that letter that you received. If you have a neutral situation, so let's say you're writing a letter to place an order from a catalog, you're going to follow the same strategy, okay? Because if you're working for a company that is giving out medical equipment or selling medical equipment, it's not great news that you're getting an order. It's not terrible news either. It's routine. It's neutral. So in the first paragraph, you might say, I would like to order 1,500 pairs of vinyl gloves. Paragraph number 2, additional information. How to charge. Okay, so you might be giving an account number or something like that. The address to which they should be shipped. Ending with the goodwill close. Thank you very much. Right? You can reach me at this email address or phone number, and then you're done. Okay, so direct strategy is very easy. It's almost impossible to give good news incorrectly, right? And giving good news is always fun. It's fun to write those letters where you're congratulating somebody. Let's say they get a promotion. You're letting them know that they get a promotion, or you're letting them know that they're getting a raise. These are positive things, very, very easy to write. Neutral requests are also very easy to write because they tend to just be very factual. right? So you're in and out very, very quickly. The indirect structure is the one that's more difficult. And that's what we use when we're delivering bad news. Unfortunately, there are going to be times in your career where you're going to need to give people very bad news. Okay? There's just no two ways about it. So you might be writing, let's say you're supervising people, you might be writing, letting people know about layoffs. You might be interviewing people for a job, and you'll need to write to the applicants that didn't get the job. You're going to have various situations that are going to be really, really tough to handle. Some people are naturally gifted at giving bad news. All right, so there are some people, I guess it's just their personality or their level of empathy. They're naturally good at it. Other people, and I include myself in this group of other people, have to work a little more when it comes to delivering bad news. The good part about this, though, is that there is a strategy that you can use. And the other nice part about writing when you're delivering bad news is that you have time to think about how to phrase things. When you're delivering bad news face to face, you have to think on your feet, right? Which can be tough. It's easier with writing because then you can take your time and think about exactly how you want to give somebody this bad news. The strategy for delivering bad news is a 4-paragraph strategy. So it's a little longer than the direct strategy for good news or neutral news. In the first paragraph, we want to begin with what they call a buffer. Okay? The best example I can give you of a buffer is the typical conversation that people have when they're breaking up. Okay? So when people are breaking up, they normally start with a buffer before they let the person know that they want to break up with them. So they may say something like, "We need to talk." Okay? That's a buffer. It's something that psychologically prepares the person for the bad news that's about to come. Okay, so that's your first thing. Your second paragraph, you're still not going to deliver the bad news directly. You're going to give the reasons for the bad news without stating it directly. So again, if you think of a breakup conversation, which again, I really think is the best example of indirect strategy, after you say we need to talk, right? You're probably going to start going through the reasons before you actually say we're breaking up. So you may say something like, over the past year, I've grown and changed a lot. Okay? Or over the past year, we've grown apart. We want different things. Okay? Again, I don't know. Whoops, there my cat goes again. I don't know what sorts of things you would say in a breakup situation, but imagine yourself in that position. You're giving the reasons for the breakup before actually delivering that blow, okay, with the hammer. So again, when you're giving bad news in a workplace situation, think about that. Then in the third paragraph, you finally have to do it. You have to deliver the bad news, and you want to state it as gently as you can. Okay. Paragraph number 4, you're going to end with a goodwill close. Okay. And you're going to offer an alternative if there is one. Okay. If there isn't an alternative, there isn't an alternative. Okay. It's hard, right? But with practice, this strategy actually really comes together. So a good example, okay, of a bad news letter is when the college sends out a rejection letter. So for all of you that are sitting right now in your college program, there are many, many other people who wanted the seat that you have that didn't get in. And Niagara College had to send them a letter, right, to let them know that, they weren't picked. Hard letter to write. But they begin with a buffer. Okay, so in paragraph number 1, they say something like, "Thank you for applying to Niagara College." In paragraph number 2, right, they provide the reasons for the bad news. So they might say something like, "This year, right, we received over 1,500 applications for the practical nursing program." Okay, so letting the person know there were a lot of applicants, right? It's not just that you were the only person rejected. And then in paragraph number 3, they're going to have to say it. Unfortunately, at this time, we cannot offer you admission to the practical nursing program. In paragraph number 4, they're going to give the goodwill close. So again, they're going to say thank you for applying or thank you for your interest in Niagara College. And then they're going to give an alternative, right? So they might say something like, we are still accepting applications to our pre-health program, right? Or we're still accepting applications to many other programs. And they might give the person a web address so that they can go back and look at some other things that they might be successful with. Other examples, okay, of where indirect strategy would be used is a job application rejection letter. Okay, so the rejection letter that goes out to people that have applied for a job and that aren't selected for an interview, or people who are selected for an interview but then aren't successful in getting the job. Imagine yourself in those situations and how you would want somebody to give you the bad news. Okay, use the strategy. Pick and choose your words carefully. Okay, you don't want to damage people. You want to make sure that you're respecting the fact that people have feelings, right? And that people are going to feel certain things based on the bad news that they're receiving. Some general points to keep in mind with workplace writing before you begin your assignment. Excuse me. The first thing to remember is that written communication never dies. Okay, so, people will keep copies of a letter for years, right? You want to make sure that you remember that. Okay, so you might write something and it might turn up 10 years later, right? You have no idea. Remember that eyes other than the intended reader may see the document. So people may show that letter or that memo to other people. Right? So you have other people as well that are judging you based on what you've written. Your professional reputation is on the line when you're handling workplace communication. And people that are respected the most and liked in the workplace tend to be people that can handle these kind of workplace communication situations with professionalism and tact and empathy. The best advice that I have for you, right, is some really old-fashioned advice like a grandma might give. Put yourself in the reader's shoes and think about how you would like to get that information. If you were the person being rejected by Niagara College, or you were the person who didn't get the promotion, how would you want to be told? Right? If you follow that, do unto others type of advice, you're probably not going to go wrong. Okay, but again, remembering that you're writing to a human being and not to a machine is something that can really help guide you. And you also want to make sure, right, that you have no errors in spelling, grammar, or punctuation when you're writing, as these are often judged by others. Okay, so you will have people judge you on your professionalism or your ability to do a job based on stuff like spelling, grammar, and punctuation. It's not fair, okay, but it's life. So you want to make sure, okay, that you really put a careful eye on anything that you're sending to someone else. And another piece of advice, just as general life advice, if somebody else writes for you, so if you're busy and a friend says, oh, I'll write that letter or I'll write that memo for you, make sure that you read it before you sign it. Because the minute that you sign something, you are taking responsibility for those words. And you want to make sure that anything that goes out with your name on it reflects who you are, right? And your core values and how you want to treat other people. Our assignment this week is going to be a little tricky. And in our next video, I'm going to go over the requirements for the assignment. But I think all of this advice is going to come into play as you deal with those scenarios. So in our next video, I'll talk to you about the assignment and how you're going to walk through it. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.